Today, I'm going to start with the new chapter, call it as function overloading. The total weightage of this chapter is 5 marks. Only one question they will ask on the annual exam, that on part D, only one question you will get from this chapter. On this chapter, you will study regarding what do you mean by function overloading, inline function as well as friend function. These are the three major concepts you will study on this chapter. One is function overloading, inline function, and one more is friend function. Only one question they will ask in the annual exam. The question may be, what do you mean by function overloading? Explain the advantage and disadvantage for 5 marks. Otherwise, what is function overloading? Explain with an example program. Otherwise, in the same way, what do you mean by inline function? Write the advantage, disadvantage, explain with an example program. In the friend function also, they will going to ask, what is friend function? Write the feature, explain with an example program. Only three concepts. In function overloading, three concepts you have to study. What do you mean by function overloading? Advantage, disadvantage, and program. In inline function also, what do you mean by inline function? Advantage, disadvantage, and with that one program. In friend function also, what do you mean by friend function? The features of friend function and explain with an example program. Only these are the questions on this chapter you have to study. First, you have to know what do you mean by function overloading. Why we require this function overloading? What is the main drawback of this function overloading? That you will study on this chapter with one program also. Function overloading means when two or more function names are same but differ in number of arguments or data type of the function is called it as function overloading. That we will explain. See, for example, I want to add a number. For example, I want to add a number. Then what I will do? Int add is the function name. Here int a comma int b. Here I am taking one function, the function name is add, the return type is integer. Here two arguments we have, the first argument is a and second argument is b. Both the arguments are type of integer format. One more function I am taking, int add int a comma int b comma int c. Here also the function name is add only. The return type is integer format, but here we have three arguments. All the three arguments of type integer format. One more function I am taking, float add int a comma int b. Then what is the main difference here? In all the three cases, the function name are same. In these three functions, the function name is same, that is add only. Function overloading means two or more function name are same but differ in number of arguments or data type of the argument. See, in the first function we have two arguments, in second function we have three arguments, in third function we have two arguments. But what is the main difference? Here two arguments, here three arguments. The number of arguments are different. But in first and in third case, the number of arguments are same. Here also two arguments, here also two arguments. But what is the main difference? Whereas here int a isn't and one more is float. Function overloading means two or more function names are same but differ in number of arguments. Two arguments, three arguments, two arguments. Differ in number of arguments or data type of the argument. Adal baro data type of different irbodu. It is very very important. In Viva also they will ask this question. In the lab program, if you have function overloading program, then 100% the external will ask, what do you mean by function overloading? Function overloading means two or more function names are same but different but different in number of arguments or data type of the argument. This is nothing but function overloading. Then why we require this function overloading? I am going to give an example. 2 plus 3. 1 I am to write, then what is the answer we will get? The answer is 5. For example, Anu plus Shri, if I am going to write, then the final output will be Anu Shri. In both the case I use it plus, add only, but here it is adding, but here it is doing concatenation depending upon the type, which type it is. Depending upon that, the function will execute. Here it is performing addition, but here it is performing addition only, but mainly concatenation, combining two strings, but operator is same only, is it no? That means depending upon the type, the arguments, that particular function I can able to execute. Otherwise what I have to write? Here I have to mention it as integer iddaga matra ee function execute maadu, ee tara add maadu. String idre ee tara execute maadu anta separate program anna baribekirutte, separate functions I have to write. Whereas in function overloading, the function name are same, but depending upon the type of argument, the number of arguments, that particular function will going to execute. Then you come to know what do you mean by function overloading, why we require this function overloading. Then you have to know what are the advantages on this function overloading. In the exam they will ask, what do you mean by function overloading? Write the advantage and disadvantage for 5 marks. Otherwise, what is function overloading? Explain with an example program they will ask. Then what are the advantages? What are the advantages and disadvantages? You have to know. Then only it will be very easy to write the explanation. Now, when we come on advantages, it is easy to understand the flow of information from where the data is moving, and with that easily I can understand the flow of information, and also it helps to debug. If I made any mistake, that I can correct here. When the common advantages, easy to understand the flow of information. Code maintenance is also very easy. I can easily maintain the code. Only the main thing is different in number of arguments that I have to identify. Code maintenance is easy, and with that easier interface between program and real world object. These are the 3 advantages in this function overloading you will get. Function overloading means 2 or more function names are same, different in number of arguments or data type of the argument. When they come on advantages, easy to understand the flow of information. This helps to identify the mistake, and this helps to make the correction, that is debugging is also very easy. Code maintenance is easy here, easier interface between program and real world object. Then what are the disadvantages in this you will get? If number of arguments are same, the data type is also same, then also it will not work properly. First disadvantages, if the number of arguments as well as data type both are same, then also it will not work. That is the first disadvantage. Disadvantages, under disadvantages, the first one is if it is same number of arguments and data type. If the same number of arguments as well as data type is also same, then also this function overloading will not work. And with that, if I use it type defined in the function, then also it will not work. 5 marks question, what is function overloading? Write the advantage and disadvantage. Function overloading means 2 or more function name are same but different in number of arguments or data type. When they come on advantages, easy to understand the flow of information and helps to debug also. Code maintenance is easy, easier interface between program and real world object. These are the advantage. When they come on disadvantages, if you have same number of arguments with same data type, then also it will not work properly. In the function, if I use it type definer, then also it will not work. This we will go to explain with one program. For example, I want to find area of a square, area of a triangle, area of a rectangle. Then how to write? For example, area of a square. Area of a square. In square, all the sides are same. Here also A. Therefore, area equals A into A. Is it no? Area of a rectangle. For example, these two are A and this will be B. Then how to find area of a rectangle? That is A into B we have to write. A into B we have to write. If it is area of a triangle, A, B, C, Then how to find? First we have to find the side. A plus B plus C whole thing divided by 2. Then here area equals square root of S into S minus A, S minus B, S minus C. This is the formula is required to find area of a triangle. This is the formula required, area of a rectangle. This is the formula to find area of a square. Now in all the three cases I want to find area. For example, now I am writing a program to find area of a square, area of a rectangle, area of a triangle by using function overloading. Then first you have to write header file. First header file as include iostream.h. This header file is required to perform input-output operation. iostream, input-output operation. That means in the program we are using cin as well as cout. If these two functions has to work, then we require this header file. Next, as include conio.h header file. In the program we are using clear screen as well as getch. If these two functions has to work, then we require this conio.h. Next function as include math.h. Math.h. Here we are using square root, sqrt. If sqrt function has to work in the program, then compulsory we required math.h. Program alli enadru ನೀವು header file math.h ಬರ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ರನ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ನಿಮಗೆ ಬರೋ ಎರರ್ ಪ್ರೋಟೋಟೈಪ್ ಮಿಸ್ಸಿಂಗ್. ಪ್ರೋಟೋಟೈಪ್ ಮಿಸ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಹೆಡರ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಿಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಫರ್ಗಾಟ್ ಟು ರೈಟ್ ದಿಸ್ math.h in the program, then you will get an error prototype missing. Prototype missing ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಹೆಡರ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಿಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. Then we have to start with the class F overload. This is the class name, class F overload. In this, we are declaring the variable as well as function. Compulsory variable write down in private section, private. Here, A, we are inputting the variable, B is also we are inputting, A, B, C, all the variables we are inputting, only we are doing the calculation is yes. Yes, I am going to declare it as float because S value is equals to A plus B plus C whole thing divided by 2 we have. 2 ಅನ್ನುವಾಗ ನಮಗೆ fractional part ಬರ್ಬೋದು. That's why we want to write float format. Float, yes, is the variable we are declaring. Then in public section, we are declaring the function one by one. Which data type result we want. Depending upon that, we will write. One is int, add is the function name. First function here we are writing int add. Inside the bracket int a. Here don't put semicolon because inside the class we are writing the definition. Here the calculation we are writing return a into a, area of a square. Only one value here we will input, a into a, that is the return value. Close this function. Here whichever we opened, that here I closed. Next one more function here we are writing int add only. Here int a comma int b. Two arguments, both arguments of type integer, whereas in first function also we have took the function name is add. Here also the function name is add only, but here two arguments, here we have one argument. Here we are return a into b. Close this function. Here two functions we have took, one is add, here also one is add. Next one more function we are writing, that is here the return type in both the case we are written as integer. Now I am going to take float add only. How many functions here we have? First function, second function, this is a third function. Here int a comma int b comma int c. Three arguments we are taking. One argument, two argument, and this is three argument. In this, first we will find S value. S equals A plus B plus C. Whole thing divided by 2.0. 2.0 because the result we want to generate in float format. That's why here I written 2.0. Then return the value. Return. Open the bracket. SQRT. Square root of. See the function? Square root of S into S minus A into S minus B into S minus C. Then close this function. Close this function. But here we have opened the class. Now we will close the class. While closing the class, after putting close the bracket, flower bracket, you have to put one semicolon. Here which we have bracket we open, that here it is closed. Totally 3 function, add. 1 argument, 2 arguments, 3 arguments. Now we want to write main program. Void main. First on this, create the object. How to create the object? Class name, then leave one space, write on the object name. Here class name is F overload. Leave one space, F is the object name. Here I am writing. Clear screen, CLR, SCR. Then here call the functions one by one and display the value. Cout. Insertion operator, the area of a square. Square equals. Then display the value. Insertion operator. Call the function object name dot. What is the function name here? We have first function add. After object name, you have to put one single dot, then add. Inside the bracket, I'm to write the value. First function it will go to execute. Now call the second function cout. Insertion operator, double quotes, /n. We want to display all the values one below the another in the next line. That's why here we are used /n. The area of a square, then the area of a rectangle equals. And display the value f dot add only, but here 2 arguments I am going to write. Here we'll write 2 arguments. Next third one, cout. Here once again /n. We want to display the result in the next line. That's why /n. The area of a triangle. The area of a triangle equals. Display the value, that is f dot a add 2, 3, 4. Then semicolon at the end, get ch, close the main program which you opened here. Then from this, see what is the aim of the program? To find area of a square, area of a rectangle, area of a triangle. See, function overloading program. Here also add and add. 3 functions we have. 1 argument here, 2 arguments here, 3 arguments here. What is function overloading? Function overloading means function name are same but differ in number of arguments or data type of the arguments. Here we are finding area of a square, that is a into a. Only one value we will input, that we will calculate a into a. Here 2 values will take a into b. Then we will calculate that return value is a into b. Whereas here a plus b plus c whole thing divided by 2. Then square root of s into s minus a into s minus b into s minus c. This is the value to find area of a triangle. Then close the function. Here we have opened the function, no, that we will close here. First function, second function, third function. Here we are closing the class. This is the main program. Whereas in function overloading, we will get only 2 questions. What is function overloading? Write the advantage and disadvantages for 5 marks. Otherwise, what is function overloading? Explain with an example program. This is your lab program also. In the exam also you can use the same program, as well as in theory also you can write the same program. Thank you for all of you. Next class we will continue with the remaining thing. Thank you once again.